Hi everyone, my name is Andrea and we are about to go over the inventory lab portion of our course. So we are going to list our products and we're going to add them to Seller Central. All right, if you take a look at my screen here, this is Inventory Lab. So we're going to want to start by creating what's called a batch, which is where we're going to collect all of our products that we're going to send directly into Amazon or add to our merchant fulfilled listing. So let's go ahead and click Start a Batch, or we can click the plus sign up here. Now it's going to default to the date and time. However, you can change it to whatever you'd like. Below that, we have the channel that we want to use. We can either do FBA or MFN. FBA is when you, the seller, send items into the Amazon warehouse for Amazon to send to future orders. So they handle all the shipping and everything to the actual customer. Whereas with MFN, you, the seller, are responsible for shipping the items directly to the customer. There are some pros and cons to each of them. FBA can be much more automated and streamlined. However, there are more fees associated with it. Whereas with MFN, it's not as automated, not as streamlined, a lot more work on your end. However, there are less fees. So it's really something that you should consider when you are becoming an Amazon seller. Today, we're going to be doing FBA. So let's go ahead and move on to our batch settings. So we have our shipping contact right here, which can be edited in the manager portal. And then below that, we have our ship from address. You can either add an address by clicking this plus sign right here, or you can select one from your list that's already existing. And below that, we have box contents. So box contents can either be on or off. Having them off, you will be subject to a manual processing fee from Amazon. So that is something to keep in mind. If you have them on, that's when you provide Amazon the information of what to expect in which box and how much quantity to expect of that item too. So we have either on using feed, which is when we send it to Seller Central, and then they send it to the warehouse. And then we have on using 2D barcode. 2D barcode is when the fulfillment center will scan a 2D barcode that you place outside of the box, and that is how they get the box contents, so they can see exactly on the screen, what is in the box. So today we'll just do on using feed. Below that, we have our min-max preferences. So there are a few options for this. We can either do not capture if we don't use a repricer, is what they're called. Repricer is something to keep your listings very competitive, to match the buy box, win the buy box, and to compete with other sellers. So we can either do not capture if we don't use one. We can send to Amazon if we use their repricer, or we can save to InventoryLab. Now, InventoryLab is actually integrated with Smart Repricer, which is also included in your Seller 365 bundle. So if you haven't upgraded to Seller 365, I suggest you do it immediately, because you will be able to have access to all of these platforms, all of this software for just $69 a month. So if you're already paying for just InventoryLab for just $69 a month, you might as well add, 9 other products to that price. So let's go ahead and just save to InventoryLab. Now below that, we have our buy list import. Now we can either not select a buy list, we can select from Scoutify, which is our mobile sourcing app, or we can select from file. Let's go ahead and just select from a file. I have a buy list already made. A buy list is where you will enter your purchasing information, such as supplier, amount that your buy cost, or your also known as COGS. And that is provided already in this spreadsheet that we're about to upload. So let's go ahead and start our batch. Now everything should be mapped out already, but in case if you make your own buy list import, you might have to match the columns up. But since we already did that, the only requirements for the columns that you need to have are ASIN, list price, and quantity. Now we did select min and max prices, so they will be required for this batch, but normally they're not required. So let's go ahead and validate my buy list. And it's going to let us know that these items already exist in our inventory. And that's because, we already have these items in active listings. Or it could be a suppressed listing as well. So we have a few options. We can either replenish them one by one, or we can go down here and use some bulk replenishment options. So we can replenish all, We have the option to also use new SKUs. Now, if you use new SKUs, you will have to wait about 5 minutes for Amazon to create that new listing for you. So that's just something to keep in mind when you are listing and creating new SKUs. Make sure you account for that time that you need to build in to wait for Amazon to actually create the listing in your account. So it can take about 5-10 minutes. And then we have use SKUs from buy list. If I already put the SKUs in my buy list, that would be a good way to be able to, already have my SKUs created for me. And if I'm just replenishing items, there's no need to, have to replenish the selected SKU that is provided here. So let's do replenish all. And then we see here, we do have multiple SKUs for the same ASIN. Your account should not look like this. This is against Amazon terms of service, actually, to have multiple SKUs for the same ASIN in the same condition. Let's go ahead and replenish these SKUs right here. All right, so now we are ready to start the Amazon check. All right, so this is what everything looks like. We have everything kind of spread out for us. We can view the quantity, cost per unit, the list price, supplier, condition, date it was purchased, and whether or not there's an expiration date too. If we decide we don't want to include something in our import, we can always click this toggle right here to remove it. All right, so let's add our buy list to our batch. All right, so now all of our items are in our batch. So if we wanted to, we would be able to either submit listing details if we want to finish the shipment in Seller Central, or we can continue to box it. Box it is when we are going to prep and box our items before we make shipments. Now, I do want to show you guys how to add things manually as well. So let's go ahead and look up, you can either type in a keyword, ASIN, or you can even scan a barcode too if you have a Bluetooth scanner. Let's go ahead and just put in a keyword right here. So we have a few options. We have, there we go. So we have a few options. We have, it's letting us know that we do have SKUs that are matching some of these items. So this is like, if we click on this, it looks like we have a lot of FBA listings of this item. However, we are actually restricted from selling it too. So it's going to let us know here. We can request approval in Seller Central from here, though. It will take us directly to Seller Central. So let's go ahead and let's pick, these are all FBA ones that are already existing in our inventory. If we want to select something directly from the Amazon catalog, let's scroll down here. And we see here, this is the Amazon catalog. So this is letting us know that we don't have any existing SKUs with this ASIN. And we can create a new SKU if we'd like. Let's go ahead and click this. All right, so we have a lot of information on this page. We have, our offers up here. We can tell what the buy box is by clicking on this. If we want to match the buy box price, we just go ahead and select this. And we see here it fills in our price. It will update our ROI once we add a cost per unit. Then below that, we have our product history. We can see all of our the history's rank and price right here. You can zoom, you can do a number of views, but if you'd like to, you can hide it as well. Then below that, we have our research links. We go to Amazon, Google search, eBay, Camel. But if you'd like, you can also hide those. And if you want to hide the entire panel, you can just click this arrow right here. All right, so we have our quantity up here. Then we have our total cost per unit. As soon as I enter this total cost per unit, it will update my ROI at the bottom. Allow conditions are these right here for this item. We can add condition notes right here. Then below that, we have some options. We can add our supplier if we want to track where we actually bought this item, and we can actually see which suppliers have the best profitability in our other portion of this class. Then we also have the purchase date. This is optional. However, I do suggest adding the purchase date, so it keeps your replenishments in order, in, first out order, also known as FIFO. We'll go more into that in our profitability portion. Let's go ahead, and also we can add multiple purchases. So we have our initial purchase right here of all the stuff that we already added. We can actually add a row if we had multiple purchases. So let's say that we actually bought this ASIN from another place for $1.05. Then we can put maybe a different supplier. Let's say we bought it from Billy's bookstore. Our purchase date, it can be the same as the 22nd, but we can also do maybe a different date. So we'll keep it in mind, keep it in line. And then we have our quantity. Let's say we bought 7 of these. So we can save changes. And then we have our MSKU, which was automatically created for us based on our settings. If you go to your settings right here, and we scroll down to our general, in our general settings, we can have something called MSKU customization. And this is where you can either use IL to create your own MSKU, where it's just going to be a randomized number. You can have a MSKU prefix. Maybe you have someone who did all the sourcing, or someone who's required, or someone who's, responsible for listing these items in the batch. So you can add their name, you can add a supplier, you can add whatever you'd like as an MSKU prefix. Then the final thing we can show is use the variable MSKU. So we have a formula set up where we have our buy cost, our supplier, ASIN, and then a count at the end. And this is what the sample MSKU looks like. If you'd like to, you can click this edit button to see all the options that you can actually include in the variable MSKU formula. You can also click and drag them. One thing that you will be required to have is the count, and that's just to make sure that you don't have any duplicate MSKUs created. Another thing I want to show you guys in the settings is the auto pricing. So if you go to list and you go to auto pricing, you can see here that you can actually automatically set your list price. So you can have the list price either match the buy box, do a price, you can do a fixed value. You can also match your last input. So if you're listing a bunch of stuff at the same list price, you can always just match your last input. Or if you'd like to do it manually each time, you can set your own price. Let's go ahead and match the buy box. And then we can do the same for our minimum and maximum prices. So we can do, our minimum price can be either profit, lower than the list price. It can also, if we change it to this percentage, can also be ROI. So if you would like, a certain, maybe we want 25% ROI on our minimum price, minimum. So we can do that. And then we can also do a percentage if it wants to be higher or lower than the list price. All right, so our MSKU is customized right here. Has our average cost, our supplier, and our ASIN, and the count. Our minimum and maximum price are based off of those settings we just did. And below that, we have our label owner and prep owner. So you can select those, whichever is most appropriate. You can either do Amazon, seller, or none for label owner. And then for prep owner, you can either do seller or Amazon, depending on if the item is eligible for that. Below that, we have an expiration date. Now, it is optional for this item. However, we would be able to add it. It would let us know if it is required here. So if you are required to include an expiration date, this is where you would do it. Then you can also add a reminder if you want like a certain note after a certain amount of time maybe, and it will show up in InventoryLab and send you a reminder. So if you have something that's expiring or something that you don't want to be on the shelf for too long, you can always add a reminder to remove it or make any adjustments to your listing. Then below that, we have our hazmat information, if it's regulated, if there's a battery, and then we also have our tax code. So let's go ahead and add it to our batch. Now this is a brand new MSKU that we created, so it's going to let us know that it is pending offer creation right here in the red. As we wait, again, that can take about 5 to 10 minutes, but as we wait, we can revalidate the item and see if it allows us to go through. So there we go. It is still pending offer creation, so we do have to wait. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this item so we can go ahead and move on with our buy list, or move on with our batch. Let me see, everything looks good here. So we can see our total cost, total value, total fees, the net profit, and how many units we have in the batch as well. So now we have a few options. We can either submit our listing details if we want to do the rest in Seller Central, or we can continue to box it if we just want to handle the rest of our shipments in InventoryLab. So let's go ahead and click continue to box it. Now, just so you know that when you go past this stage, the find it stage, you will not be able to make any quantity edits until after you pay for shipping, and the quantity edits can only be made in Amazon. That's because Amazon requires you to provide a reason for any quantity edits. So that's why you won't be able to make any quantity edits during the boxing stage or the ship it stage, because yeah, Amazon has redone the API. All right, we are now at the box it stage. So let's go ahead and take a look at what Amazon has recorded. Let's go ahead and take a look at what Amazon has provided. So we have two packing groups here. It's group 1 and group 2. That's Amazon letting us know that these items cannot be shipped together in the same shipment. This can happen if you have items that are maybe different sizes. For instance, these are just standard size items in packing group 1. Then packing group 2 is an oversized item. This can also happen for hazmat items too. They cannot be shipped together with non-hazmat items. So let's go ahead and start boxing our items. So if we just want to do it the manual way, we'd be able to go ahead and just select this box right here. So packing group 1, box 1 is selected. Let's go ahead and edit our quantity right here. So let's add 4 to packing group 1, box 1. If we wanted to add a new box, we could always do that by clicking new box. And we can see here that this is the currently selected one, packing group 1, box 2. And you can see here on the buttons next to the quantity, you can add to packing group 1, box 2. And you can do the same for this one as well. Now if I select this one, it's going to go back to box 1. Let's go ahead and add these items to box 2. And that's it. Now we want to add our weight and dimensions. So let's go ahead and do this. There we go. And we're done with packing group 1. But I do want to show you guys another trick that you can do to pack your items even faster. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the bulk upload here. I can select all the boxes in group 1, and I can delete these boxes. Now I'm going to show you guys something called copy box, and this is especially useful if you are trying to keep those inbound placement fees at $0. That is when Amazon lets you know that you do the Amazon warehouse distribution for them, basically. So you'll have a ton of shipments, but you will have $0 inbound placement fees. So you need at least 5 identical boxes, same items, same quantities, same weights, same dimensions. Everything has to be the same. So let's go ahead and do that really quick. So let's go ahead and make 5 identical boxes. So if we want 5, we're going to have to put 4 of each of these into the box. Now, before we copy our box, let's add our weights and dimensions. Otherwise, we will be prompted to enter it in for each box. Next, we just click these three dots right here, and then we click copy box. It's going to default to how many more boxes I can make. So I can make 4 more. And then we're done boxing our items, and they have the weights and dimensions attached to them. Another thing we can do from here is print our labels. So if we wanted to, we can click this bulk edit right here, select all 5 boxes, and then we can either print labels, we can print 30 up labels if we have an inkjet printer, or we can just print, with our thermal label printer. We also have packing ID labels. So I'm going to go ahead and print 30 up packing ID labels right here. And this is just letting us know that this will go outside of the box of packing group 1, box 1. This will go outside of box 2, box 3, box 4, and box 5. That's to let you know which box is actually going to which shipment. So it's very important that you put these on your boxes so you can keep track of which boxes are going where. You can also just print, regular product labels as well. If you want to do 30 up labels. You can also do thermal labels from here too. So let's go ahead and cancel our bulk edit, and I'm going to show you guys something called Quick Box under packing group 2. So we're going to go ahead and click Quick Box right here. We're going to enter in our weights and dimensions. And we want to have those 5 total boxes again. So 15 divided by 5 is 3, and we put in our weight. And then we actually have the option to print our packing ID labels from here too. So let's create and pack 5 boxes. We have those packing ID labels created for us. So this is letting us know that this is packing group 2, box 1. So make sure you keep these straight to make sure you know exactly which box is which. All right. And now our next button is no longer grayed out. So we can actually see, a little bit of an overview here. And we can go on to the ship it stage. So let's go ahead and click next. Now this is going to let us notify Amazon if we're doing either a small parcel delivery shipment or less than truckload shipment, also known as a pallet shipment. So small parcel delivery is mostly what a lot of sellers use. Less than truckload is if you are a big seller and you have a ton of stuff to send into Amazon. Let's go ahead and do small parcel shipments. And then the ship date, it defaults to tomorrow, but we can actually change it to today if we'd like to as well. And then we're just going to go ahead and confirm our shipping mode. All right, we are now at the box it stage. So you can see here that we have a few options for placements. So we have placement option 1, which has an inbound placement fee of $11.80. We can see that there are 2 shipments with it, and we can see exactly which boxes are going into which shipment. So we have packing group 1 goes up here. Looks like all 5 boxes are going to this shipment, and then vice versa for this shipment, all items from packing group 2 will be going here. You can see the total cost down here at the bottom, which does include the fees. So we have $358.84. However, down here we have our $0 inbound placement fee. So we can go ahead and look here to see exactly which packing group box goes into which shipment. Now we also have a few options to see to do non-partner carriers. So if we wanted to, we could always go ahead and select either FedEx, USPS, DHL, or any others. Now the only difference is we would be paying for our shipping on either FedEx or the other site, but we would generate box labels for you guys here when you provide the tracking numbers. So that's the only difference between partner carrier and non-partner carrier. Let's go ahead and select this first placement option. Let's go ahead and purchase our labels. So it's going to tell us our total cost, let us know which boxes, or let us know how many boxes are going into which shipment. And then we can accept all fees and shipment charges and purchase all shipping labels. Now we just wait for Amazon to come back with our confirmed shipping, and we will be able to print labels. We'll be able to print shipping labels as well as box labels. All right, so placement option 1 has been confirmed, and we can print our box and shipping labels as well as packing lists. So we have an option to either close the batch, print box and shipping labels, or print packing lists. So let's go ahead and click the box and shipping labels. So it's going to ask us which shipments we want to do it for. Let's do it for shipment 1. Let's print box and shipping labels. And you want to make sure that you have your pop-up blocker disabled for InventoryLab. Now we have our box label here. It lets us know this is box 1 of 5, packing group 1, box 1. If we did have 2D barcodes turned on, this right here is where we'll be able to see that 2D barcode. So that's the only difference really between providing feeds and providing 2D barcodes. Below that, we have our shipping label too. So this is going to let us know if this is box 1 of 5. Now, going back here, we can go ahead and print our packing list as well. It's going to ask us what shipment we want to do it for. Let's just do it for the first shipment. Now, a packing list is where you can tell. This is really good, especially if you have any discrepancies between, if Amazon finds any discrepancies between your shipment and what they receive at the fulfillment center. So it's going to give you the fulfillment center, the shipment ID, and which box it is. We can see the total cost value, as well as the total list price value. And then we have pictures, but we can, and the title, but then we can see the FN SKU and the quantity that we actually shipped. So this is really good if Amazon likes to, if you want to dispute Amazon's quantity mismatch. Let's go ahead and close this batch. And now we can either view closed batches or we can start a new one. But if we go down here to shipments, we'll be able to see all of our working shipments that we just made. So we can also print labels from here as well as get our packing list. All right, and that's it for the Inventory Lab portion of our class today. I hope you learned a lot and you found this very valuable, but I will see you around. My name again is Andrea. Thanks again.